Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Do you remember when the Western media reported that Wagner Group, the mercenary group, and the Russian military recruits convicts? They go in the penitentiaries, in the jails, prisons, and they recruit inmates, criminals, and they promise a pardon if they go and serve and fight in Ukraine. You remember? And I don't know if you remember how they lectured the Russians and the mercenaries, in doing so. It was Prigozhin shown at one of these penitentiaries. Supposedly he hired about 15,000 inmates, criminals. And obviously these guys were like, we're superior, we're better than that, you don't do that. Well, examples in history are numerous when we, the good people, the good countries, hired criminals in order to send them to deadly missions. I made that claim, not claim, I provided the evidence in one of my videos, and I'm going to show you. Here, this is Hollywood's The Dirty Dozen Russian version. And it says Russia forms, and you can't read what's behind there, Russia forms special unit consisting of convicts. Obviously, this was on February 4, and it was frowned upon. Oh my God, look what these guys are doing. And again, alcoholics, deserters, convicts. Ukraine calls Russian Storm Z Group Wagner Bakhmut replacement. 500 Russian convicts, right here. Fight in Donetsk. Russia carried out and it says here, we need only stormtroopers. Wagner mercenary group hires Russian convicts to fight in Ukraine. And the last one right here, this was in June 28, 2022. Ukrainian army eliminates Russian saboteur group. Russia, what was that behind? Russia uses ex-convicts to fight in Ukraine. All these videos that I made regarding this issue were meant to bash the Russians as, being so evil. They will send all these guys over there with the promise of, a pardon. But hey, guess what? As I said many, many times before, even though in that movie, Hollywood's The Dirty Dozen Russian version tells us how the Americans did the same thing, it's okay because it's the Russians, must be bad. And I also want to show you two more things. One, the Ukrainians are considering doing the exact thing. And do you think that will be frowned upon? Nah. And this is an example of how the media in the West looked at Russia's recruitment of convicts. Russia, I said in the search box right here, Russia recruits convicts, criminals. And you're going to find out Russian military recruits female convicts, Kiev says. And again, Newsweek, Russia military is recruiting New York Times, Radio Free Europe. Russia begins closing prisons as both convicts and staff head to war. You see all these things? Exclusive, Russia has recruited over this Newsweek 100,000 convicts since right? Convicts from penal colonies to fight in Ukraine, where since the war began in February 2022. We go back, even pardon for serving in Ukraine, they return to Russia and they destroy everything over there. And then Russia dangles freedom to prisoners if they fight in Ukraine. And again, here, video reveals how Russia mercenaries recruit inmates. So all these things, Ukraine war, Russia goes back to prisons to feed its, let's see BBC, because they could be trusted, to feed its war machine. Okay, so all this garbage was provided by the Western media. And the Ukrainians, obviously. And everything in each and every article, it was bad. Okay, well, let me show you this. Coming from the horse's mouth, is that how you say it? Ukrainska Pravda. Convict Mobilization bill to be submitted to Ukraine's parliament next week. Now, this was on 9th of March 2024. Did you hear about it? Did you hear anything about if it passed or it did not pass? It did come to a vote? And who sent that bill to the Ukraine's parliament next week? We're going to look into that. Again, I did the same thing as I did with the Russians right here. Russia recruits, to find all these articles about Ukraine, and I put instead of Russia, Ukraine, and I tried to search. No, everything I found was Russia, 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 Russia. So let's see what do we have here. Let's read this article. A draft law on the potential mobilization of convicted and imprisoned persons may be submitted to Verkhovna Rada, Ukraine's parliament, next week. So how come you're considering it? So if you might think, well, it was just sent over there, it was not, voted upon, it didn't become a law. They thought about it. That means they thought it was good. Therefore, what the Russians did was also good. I mean, you can't have it both ways. I mean, you can say, I'm good, but I'm still going to do the same thing, like another guy did it. And I said, that's bad, but if I do it, it's A-okay. Because I must be better or something? Or I must be the good? So let's read further. This is source, Denis Malyushka, Minister of Justice. So the Minister of Justice thought it's great on the National Joint 24/7 newscast. And I'm quoting, I think it will be registered next week at the next session meeting of the Verkhovna Rada. It will be voted on in its first reading and the second as well. I expect that will be in spring, no later, and I think not even the end of spring. He's very optimistic. Is gonna, work just fine. But always remember these articles. Go read through them, and you're gonna see how they interpreted that. Again, Ukraine war, Russia goes back to prison to feed its war machine. BBC. Fuck off. Anyway, let's move on. It says, the minister noted that, and I'm quoting, there are thousands of prisoners and convicts who are prepared to become military personnel and defend their country. Oh, so these guys defend their country, but the other guys are just attacking, right? Aren't they liberating their fellow Russians? They were attacked by Kiev military since 2014 after the coup orchestrated, planned, by, isn't that what happened? Nobody talks about that genocide or attack of the Russians speaking. The Russians in East Ukraine. Let's put it straight. What the fuck are we skirting around? Malyushka said that at the request of the military, the bill will include the mobilization of convicts who violated military discipline, committed crimes related to the performance of their military duty, or committed crimes against statehood. Very nice. Some people who did it, you're going to send them in the same milieu. Mobilization will probably not apply to such categories, but Parliament will have the last word. I do not expect consideration in Parliament to be delayed. No, please don't. Because so far I have not met a single politician, MP, or armed forces leader who would actively oppose it. They're all for it. At the same time, Malyushka said not all military commanders are prepared to accept convicts in their units. Of course, give a convict, someone who didn't follow your order, a weapon. What do you think is going to do? You use it against you possibly, or defect to Russia. Now, and I'm quoting, we won't force such mobilized servicemen on anyone. I don't believe you. An order is an order. Most likely, there will be separate detachment, but so you make them dirty dozens right there. That's what you're gonna make it, separate the detachments? Yes. Why? So you're gonna, that's imbecilic. So you put all these convicts in the same time, you organize them. So instead of having one over here, one over there, so they can't unite, you're gonna have them all in one place. So let's say you have 1,000 of this kind of ex-convicts or convicts. It's imbecilic, but anyway. They know best, right? But in any case, only commanders who understand who they will be dealing with and how to work with that will receive appropriate units so that they can defend their homeland. All right, in the name of defending the homeland, you do all kind of garbage. That you pointed out that the other guys, when they do it, it was bad. I think that it's a great risk, especially here. I think it's a bigger risk than the other guys. Let's say the other guys get the convicts for I know, major crimes. Now that's dangerous, obviously, but when you get convicts who already disobeyed disobeyed orders and all that, that's even worse, because it's like you send, let's say I'm a criminal, let's say I'm a thief of chicken. I steal chicken. Chicken. Okay, that's a gainar. Okay, a little fucker. Okay, and you take that one and you put him in a milieu of, I don't know, let's say rape. That's a different story. That's a different kind of crime. Yeah, he broke the law. The gainar broke the law in that kind of activity, stealing. But you put him in a different crime set, which is a different kind of thing. It doesn't mean that he would switch into that. Otherwise, you're going to say, if you have a criminal mind, oh my God, you're going to do everything. It's not true. It's not true. Like animals, you got certain animals like the predators don't eat certain victim animals. Why? They don't taste good. They are not on their liking. The same with the criminals. A guy who opens safes or robs banks doesn't necessarily is going to be, a politician. So you might not get in that kind of crime. So remember, this is hypocrisy. Do I think that they will be used? Very risky. Very risky. You give one of these guys a weapon, you give him a means to retaliate, go and look for someone instead of fighting the invaders. All right, thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.